Welcome back to the Resilient Philosopher. This is the Leon Dantes. Today we are talking about a subject that hits everybody hard. It's the cost of living. How expensive it is to be able to pay for food, bills, healthcare, and even if we want to take a vacation or even go out to watch a movie, how difficult it is due to the lack of equity within the workforce when it comes to pay. And this is also based in a post that I saw on social media in regards to the difference, to the fact that a person working in a trade can make more than a nurse. As a person who has worked in the trades like roofing, construction, and all facets of constructions, welding, plumbing, I can tell you one thing. It is hard work. It is really hard work. And when you balance the work and the pay, you really have to be working for a great company for you to decide the pay is worth it. Eventually, your body does give up. Eventually, you have to either move up within the company to stay working or quit and look for a different type of job. We need our healthcare individuals, nurses, lab techs, x-ray technicians. I mean, we need everybody. So I'm not comparing apples to apples because to me, it doesn't make sense to compare it apple to apples. To me, the business of trades is separate from the business of healthcare. And then you have the educational system. Those are, to me, are the three different things, and we shouldn't compare them. See, I was taught that a career is something that you choose to do because you enjoy it. A job is something that you do to pay the bills. So if you are looking to be a nurse for the sake of money, maybe you shouldn't be a nurse. Maybe learn a trade. If you are going into becoming a teacher or a professor for the sake of money, then maybe you shouldn't do it. Working a trade. See, we are all needed in society. Without teachers, there wouldn't be no tradesmen. Without the tradesmen, the teachers couldn't teach in the classroom. Without teachers and tradesmen, we wouldn't have doctors or nurses. So what I'm getting to is, instead of focusing or refocusing the mentality that is us against them, well, if a plumber makes $23 an hour or $40 an hour, me as a nurse practitioner, I should make $43 an hour. No, because this is going to sound funny, but I actually know people that were doctors in Cuba who are now here plumbers. So in situations like that, you can literally have a plumber that could do the job that a nurse does. Doesn't mean that he should do it. So, and take another example. I'm getting my degree in psychology, yet I have all these skills in various trades. Does not mean any difference. I cannot go into an office and say, hey, because I have the experience as in these trades, I should get paid as a therapist X amount of money. It's not a comparison. Now, if I go in to the HR department of a construction company, then my knowledge within construction will be helpful for that company. But to consider that your equity should be equal to or compared to a different industry that is not the same as yours, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. What does make sense to me is to point out that you have pharmaceuticals companies that are making billions of dollars. You have hospitals who are pro-profit, charging a lot of money. You have clinics. I personally have met doctors that take various roles in order to make more money, and because they enjoy doing the work that they do. So instead of doing something else, they just do more of what they like to do. that is a choice that they make. I've also had teachers growing up who had summer jobs, who even work on the side delivering pizzas to make more money. But their devotion, their love, their career was teaching. They wouldn't give that up. And seeing people like that, people that truly had passion for their work, that truly enjoyed what they did over the compensation of it, is what made me determine that not everybody needs to be a lawyer. Not everybody needs to be a doctor. Yet, people can be business owners. People can become CEOs. Another way, life has taught me that we are all needed. And it doesn't matter where we come from. What matters is where we end up. And with that mentality, I can tell, and I wish I would have said it better on a comment in that post on social media, that person should refocus or redirect their frustration within the healthcare system. Within the healthcare system that are pro-profit, where executives are making money, where a specialized doctor will make more money, where different levels within the nursing, like RN, LPN, CNA, I believe, they all make different money because it's different levels. So if you're going to compare a clinical technician with the trades, that person, man or woman, to be able to make that much money on trades, have spent time and experience on it. So you can compare. You just can't. Just like you can compare some teacher just started yesterday. It takes time to build the experience, and with experience, you gain higher pay. Now, having to said that, when you refuse to change with time, it's your fault for not being up to the pay of the time. Let me see if I can explain that correctly. If you decided to be a receptionist within a doctor's office, the doctor sees how well you are with the patients, how good you are. And he says, hey, if you get your CNA, you can work as a nurse, assistant. And the person said, no, I like being a receptionist. Hypothetically speaking, she's making $15 an hour. Here comes the CNA and starts at 18. And the receptionist says, well, how come they start at 18 where I'm still at 15? Well, because you chose not to become a nurse assistant. Well, that's not right. We should both make the same. No, you can't make the same because it's two different jobs. So if you're not willing to grow within a company, not within management of a company, but willing to go back to school to get the education needed to change positions within your job to make more money, then you can do it. Another example is in places that I've worked, I've started off as an operator. An opportunity has come to become more specialized. I've done it. Now all of a sudden, I make more money. Sometimes I will be working in that specialized section, and sometimes they will put me back to my own machines. And some people were getting upset. How come a person that makes more money is working on both areas? Well, simple. I know both areas. The company is going to try to keep me busy because they know I can do both areas in a satisfactory way. Let's just say it. And that is a big difference. Being a CNA does not mean that you cannot take over the phones one day. But as a receptionist can take over being a CNA one day without the credentials. That's really the only difference. When you get the credentials needed, it bumps you up, let's say. I'm not suggesting doing two jobs or anything like that. I'm just saying, if you're going to compare yourself to others, make sure you are within the same level. Make sure you're comparing orange to oranges or apples to apples. Because if not, then you are not understanding how economics works. See, when I have received a bill for, let's say, an MRI, having paid 1 year, I think I paid around $15,000. Just the removal of a tooth that broke cost $7,000. The insurance paid $5,000. I had to pay the rest. That's fine. I still had to pay them $15,000. So they made back their money. They didn't lose any money. But then when I got the bill, they didn't pay $5,000. They actually got discounted all the way down to $3,000 or $4,000. Maybe closer to $3,000. And it really did hurt. But, surgeries are expensive. Any surgery can cost you $15,000 to $30,000 easily here in the United States. So I kept the insurance. I always do. As a business owner, if I have to pay a medical bill of $15,000, the only way I can make it is if I raise the price of the job that I'm doing, of the services that I give. Which means that if I go to a nurse house, now I have to charge her a percentage higher because of that. That nurse might think I am overcharging or starts comparing orange to apples and doesn't understand. See, I don't know if she got a cut or he got a cut of the $15,000 medical bill that I have to pay. And the nurse doesn't know that I have a $15,000 medical bill that I need to pay. Neither one of us knows each other's situation. That nurse might have 3 kids to feed. I might have 3 kids to feed. That nurse might have a car payment to make. I have a car payment to make in the business and personal life. You see how there's similarities, but the careers are different. And yet, even if that nurse was making 3% of the $15,000 that I'm paying, I'm going to be charging that person 10, 15% more than my usual price so that I can make up for the money to pay $15,000. Now, this is the easiest way that I could explain it. Hopefully, I got through the message. But instead of us focusing and comparing each other, how much we make and how much we should make, like how much a person at McDonald's should make, how much a person at Walmart should make, how much a person here should make. We have to consider that the cost of living has gone higher, not because of how much people make, but how much corporations want to retain, how much the corporations bow down to Wall Street and their stockholders. Every CEO wants to get a bonus, wants to make more at the end of the year or whenever he gets get their bonus. So they don't care about the employees. They don't invest within the employees. If you quit, then hire somebody else. Yes, I don't believe in socialism. This is not about socialism, communism, or anything like that. This is about a system, an economic system that takes into account that without the working class, without the tradesmen, without the nurses, without the teachers, there will not be an economy that can be sustained. If the farmers don't farm anymore and people don't trade any food with us, or if they trade food with us, they raise the price because they know we don't have any farmers farming, who can afford it? If all the tradesmen said, hey, or women, they said, look, let's all be lawyers and doctors. Who's going to build the houses? Who's going to take care of the power grid? Who's going to build the cabinets? Who's going to build the roads? Are you going to see doctors, lawyers, and teachers doing all those jobs? We have to understand we are all needed in this world. We all have to work together in this world. The people that enjoy dividing us are those CEOs, are those politicals that are making money out of people being divided, out of pointing out and exaggerating points by labeling it in a way that they know that the majority, or at least 40% of the people, will hate. See, sometimes you don't have to aim for everybody. See, that's a tactic of manipulation in dark psychology. You don't have to get everybody on board. You just have to get enough people on board and enough people to not care, so that people that care, that are telling you the truth, seem crazy. If somebody's looking at the moon, you have 10 people looking at the moon, and you say the moon is blue. They all look at you weird. You manage to convince 4 people that the moon is blue. 5 people say, no, the moon is not blue, the moon is actually white. And then 1 person didn't care. Those 4 people will die with that liar saying that that moon is blue. And they will get noisier than the 5 people saying that no, it's white. And then, just then, eventually, those 5 people, they get tired of the noise. And some of them start saying, I don't care anymore. Let them say whatever they want to say. And then all of a sudden, there's 4 people screaming, it's blue, it's blue, it's blue. And now 3 people don't care. You see? When you see people screaming loudly in things that do not make sense, in things that should be either common sense or easy to fact check, beware. Beware of tendencies of manipulation, of dark psychology, to get the uninformed on board with their propaganda or the ideology. If you want equity within the healthcare system, search within your system. Do not compare yourself to tradesmen. Do not compare yourself to teachers. Those are different industries. You want to compare yourself? Compare with how much each hospital is paying their employees. Compare how much each executive is making within those hospital systems. Because now we have chains of hospitals owned by the same corporation, where they are going to make money by raising the prices because you have nowhere else to go but to their hospitals. Healthcare, insurance business are becoming a form. There's a right way to say this in microeconomics. That's not my major, but it's a corporate monopoly where they all work together to control the price of their services. So it won't matter if you go to a hospital in one city or another, if it's owned by the same corporation or not, their prices will be almost identical. They won't compete against each other because then they both make money. You're focusing your discomfort on not making enough money to pay your bills in the wrong way. And just one final thought when it comes to economics. You see these phones for $1,500? If there is, let's say 50% of Americans don't make enough money to pay for a phone of $1,500, and they decided we're no longer buying phones for $1,500, those manufacturers that make those $1,500 phones will find a way to make a cheaper phone for those 50% of the American people can buy those phones, their brands. You know why? Because what they want is to make money. They don't want to make what's best. They want to make what makes money. The greed within the industries, within the Wall Street, within the corporations, within the CEOs, that is what we should be arguing, or not even arguing, talking about. That is what we should be refocusing about. Not about what an employee makes in any field in life, not what a teacher makes. Without a teacher, where will we be? Without a plumber, where will we be? Without a nurse, where will we be? But you know where we will be without? Without CEOs that are greedy trying to make money for themselves and from the stockholders. Those we can do without. We can do without lawyers that go after insurances and malpractices for the most outrageous things, small mistakes, whatever. And they raise the price of the services. That is the areas where we need to focus on, not against each other. That is what that society wants us to do. Look how the dog wags his tail. That's all we want to do. They want to do. Instead, we need to focus ourselves in the right direction. The economy is driven by supply and demand. If there is too much supply and not enough demand, prices will drop. If there's a high demand, even if the supply is a little higher, prices will never be lower. It's that simple. It is that simple. If a hospital in a rural area is not making enough money, it's because not enough people are coming in. And that corporation will be cheaper for them to either lower the staff or close the hospital than to say, you know what, we're going to compensate the extra money that we're making here to help out the hospital so those people in rural areas can have a hospital. No, they don't see us anymore as humans. They don't see us as citizens. They see us as a dollar sign. And then they put a patient number on it. That's it. Because when you remove the humanity, all you have is an object. And an object you don't have to feel obligated to do anything for. So when you see an object, you don't see a picture of the person. You just see an object. Number 354678. Black. Blah, blah. Sorry. Blah. Nothing else. Then they can do whatever they want without feeling remorse. But if they see your picture with your name and a profile that says father of 3 kids, mother of 3 kids, daughter, the only daughter of a couple, then you become human. And it's harder for them to do the obscenities that they're doing in the medical industry of putting out medications that killed too many people. And when I say too many people, if 10,000 people died because of what the pharmaceutical industry did, that is way too many. And we all know it was way more than that. Not only in the United States, globally. That was a global pandemic with painkillers. And what did those companies do? Most of them, they were able to go bankrupt and not pay a penny. So remember that. Next time you want equity, don't compare fields. Compare within your own industry. I heard this growing up in Florida. Teachers that would say that they did not get paid enough in Florida, and then in Georgia, teachers would get paid more. And some of them left Florida to go to Georgia and get paid more. It's sad to say it, but if that is the case, then Florida will have to raise the pay on teachers. But a teacher cannot go and say, well, if a doctor is making X amount of money, then I need to make X amount of money. Two different fields. I invite you to read my book, my philosophy book, The Resilient Philosopher, The Prism of Reality. And that will be the best book to read compared for this episode. I wish that I explained myself correctly. And if I did not, or you have any more questions, please leave a comment. Also visit our website, visionleon.com. You can leave me a comment there too, because we will be releasing an article to go along with this episode. And that way you can get more information on the topic. Also, the book, the first volume of the Resilient Mind and the second volume of the Resilient Mind series is available now in Amazon, and the audiobook of Leadership Lessons from the Edge of Mental Health is now also available through Audible. That is the best way to sponsor the work that we do on the website and the podcast. So if you could give us a hand, that would be great. If not, just know that what we do here between the website and the podcast is all in the book, The Resilient Philosopher, Prism of Reality. That book will be revised once I finish my bachelor's degree in psychology and right before I start on my master's in organizational psychology. To gain knowledge and the love for knowledge is what makes you a philosopher. And the fact that you wake up every single day and you strive to be a better person, that also makes you a resilient philosopher. So show up for yourself every single day. And next week on Tuesday, we'll be back.